Hello everyone, and welcome to, I'm pretty sure, what is my first Let's Play on the Cleek Geek channel, Final Fantasy III Pixel Remastered. Now, out of the 6 Pixel Remasters, the ones I were really looking forward to was one, of course, Final Fantasy V, because it is my favorite out of the 6. Out of the original 6, 5 is my absolute favorite. Overall being my third favorite Final Fantasy game. But the second one I was looking forward to was Final Fantasy III. All the other games already had some kind of like 2D remaster to them, or at least 2D port. Final Fantasy III never got that treatment. The original NES version never released over in the West. Instead, we got Final Fantasy VI as Final Fantasy III. And then when we got the first time we got any gameplay of Final Fantasy III was on the DS of the 3D remake. And the 3D remake is good, but I was really excited to play I really wanted a remaster of the famicom version, because there's a lot of things I like that it does better, but there's also a lot of things I like that the 3D version does better. As we go on, because I haven't played all of this, I've only played some of it, and then I've seen gameplay from other people. As we go on, as I experience this 3D remake completely for the first time, I will kind of make comparisons as I go along and tell you things that I really like about the game. One thing I really love, and I think I'm probably going to be gushing over this entire playthrough, is the Redone Soundtrack. I will say, I just recently actually completed and finished completely Final Fantasy I Pixel Remastered, and it was fun. It does suck that there's no extra content. So at least for me, that just means I'll probably be playing Final Fantasy I Pixel Remastered the most, because I just like how the changes they made and the rebalancing and everything. But whenever I feel like I want to play the extra content, I'll probably just play the PSP version, but most of the time I'll probably be playing the Pixel Remastered. But for me, if I could say which one's better, I think they're kind of both tied. They're both good, because I do like the extra content in Final Fantasy I. Final Fantasy III, I don't really care. I never really cared, at least on the 3D remake. I never really cared for the extra content. There wasn't that much like there is in Final Fantasy I. It was just like a secret boss in Moogle letters, and I didn't give a shit for either of them. I love this game. I think Final Fantasy III is one of the super underrated games. This is a fantastic title. I love this game. The secret boss was not it, Chief. The secret boss, in my opinion, wasn't that great. So, extra content being cut out of this game really doesn't affect me. It affects me a bit in Final Fantasy I, but in this game, it doesn't affect me. But from what I played, from what I've seen, and just from the soundtrack alone, I already think this is the definitive edition. I will be making comparisons between like I said, I will be making comparisons between this one and the 3D one. As we go along, and then I'll kind of give my final answer on which one I like better and which one is, in my opinion, is the definitive edition once the playthrough ends. I will say, I will be also stopping every now and then to have you guys listen to the soundtrack, because with Final Fantasy I's remastered soundtrack, it was good. It wasn't bad, it was good, but it still felt similar to the PSP remastered one. Yeah, there was a lot of changes and stuff, but it wasn't mind-blowing. It was just, oh, that's good, I like that. But when I was listening through the extras, when I was listening through the entire soundtrack of Final Fantasy III, I already love Final Fantasy III soundtrack, but when I was listening to how they redid it in the Pixel Remaster, my mind was actually blown. Like with Final Fantasy 1, I was just like, okay, it's good. And sometimes when I was listening to music, I felt like I was just listening to the PSP version. But like with this one in particular, like it's absolutely mind-blowing how much they changed the songs or what they added to it. And like I'll go into more detail when we get there. But like, man, this new soundtrack alone makes getting Final Fantasy 3 Pixel Remaster worth it on its own. And I'm not even joking about that, because this soundtrack is mind-blowing. I know some people are going to be like, yeah, I like this is good, but I like the 3D better. That's cool, but I personally like this way better than the 3D soundtrack, and I love the 3D soundtrack. Like, when I listen to Final Fantasy 3 3D soundtrack, I'm just like, oh, this is a Final Fantasy 3 game with a good soundtrack. When I listen to the Pixel Remaster soundtrack version, I'm just like, this is probably one of my favorite soundtracks in the entire series. It, like, I'll get into more of it. Just, I'll gush about it during this playthrough, but I do want to move on. I really do like, because of my pre-purchase, getting wallpaper and kind of like NES remixes in my local files, which is cool. I'm actually very glad they don't hide the music player and gallery behind pre-purchasing, because that would be kind of sad because of how good this stuff is. We'll go into that. I want to make a separate episode of, like, of course I'll be gushing about the music during the playthrough, but I won't be gushing on every track. I think after the playthrough is done, I want to do an episode going through the gallery, and also doing an episode going through the bestiary, and going through the episode of probably be all in one episode or maybe separate ones, I don't know, but do an episode of going through the music player and going through the tracks one by one. I'm really just gonna point out like the important ones, or like the ones that I thought were like the best, or like you'll get what I mean. You'll get what I mean. We're gonna start a new game, and I did the same thing with Final Fantasy 1. I asked a couple of my friends to choose a class, and with Final Fantasy 1, you stick in the class. With Final Fantasy 3, I gave my friends the crystals in order and the classes in order, and I said, choose a class from each crystal. And if you want to keep your thing the same, just say same, and it's fine. And they chose it. From the 3D remake that I did, because I did the same thing with 3D remake. I said, since it's a 2D remake, would you like to make any changes? Only one of them did. My other two friends kind of kept the same as they did in the 3D remake, but one of them did change it by a lot, and then I changed my classes that I want to use in this playthrough by a lot. We're gonna go with my friend Dar. He's gonna be the red one. The blue one is gonna be my boyfriend Skiba. My other friend Jess is gonna be the green one, and then I am going to be the purple/pink one. I do like that I have more characters to work with when it comes to names. I do appreciate that. I am excited. I will probably be doing playthrough on 1 eventually. Hopefully, by the time I'm done with the playthrough of 3, that there will be news on the Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6 release dates so I can pre-purchase. And if I can pre-purchase it, I'll wait. And if not, then I'll probably go through Final Fantasy 1 or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see in the future. But I'm excited because I beat Final Fantasy 3, as you can see from the video that's uploaded. And then instead of going into this game, I decided to play Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remastered first to kind of have a break. And now that I beat it, I was like, maybe I need a break from this. And I'm just super excited to be playing through this. I already have a save file, of course, from like when I was playing earlier. But then I was like, I kind of want to make this a let's play. And I don't know why, but it's just this Final Fantasy game in particular is just, you know, it holds a special place in my heart. So I'm excited to share this experience with you guys, and I'm ready to begin. You're probably tired of me rambling on, so let's go. Into the silence, One of the Gullians prophesied. The great earthquake was only the beginning. The tremors tore the land asunder. The crystal sources of the world's light were swallowed into the depths by the monster. It's going way too fast, yet there was nothing compared to the catastrophe to come. And that one just stays forever. Something fathomless, ominous, and laden with sorrow looms from the... Okay. 4 souls will be blessed with the power of light, and so it shall begin. For orphaned youngs raised by in the ritual village of were out to test their whatever. They came across the cave, one of the very same that formed when the crystals were lost to the earth. What started as a simple game of exploration became so much more. Ouch! Looks like we fell through a sinkhole. What do we do now? Are you sure this is a good idea? Maybe we should climb out. You wanted to go exploring. Don't be such a scaredy cat. Hey, quit squabbling, you two. We need to find a way out of here. Alright, this is our first taste of battle. We're gonna go into it a little bit later. Specifics. What are those monsters doing here? We're in way over our heads. Let's get out as fast as possible. Alright, and it shows us the controls, which we can pop up at any time, which is cool. I already know the controls though, so it's fine. I will say, one thing I would like to start off with is there is a difference already between the 3D remake and the 2D remake. I actually have always liked how the original did it, to where all the warriors were already together. Because basically, just to let you know, 3D remake does it differently than 2D remake. 2D remake and the original did it to where all of them were together, and they were orphans that lived together. They fell down a sinkhole, and then boom, adventure starts now. And by the time you get to the end of this dungeon, you'll already have your job classes. 3 tried to take a more longer approach to where you start off with one person go through the dungeon, and then the crystal's like, get the others. So then you just meet them one by one and get them in your party. It does add characterization that way, but the only issue is this Final Fantasy is not a game it has a story, it has characters, but it's not super heavy on them. It's super light. It's more of like how Legend of Zelda Link to the Past is, to where it takes the original concept of Zelda 1 to where it's just like, you're a boy with a sword, go out and adventure, and that's it. There is plot elements in Link to the Past, but it's not super heavy. It's like, oh, your uncle died, there's a wizard, and then you just kind of explore the whole time and get like bits and pieces of story along the way. That's what Final Fantasy 3 is. It's kind of like the Link to the Past of the series. So like having them all start like this and then just getting the crystal, getting the power, being on their way to adventure with story elements was already fine. I think it was very unnecessary to change the beginning. Actually do prefer the 2D better than 3D. I get what they were trying to do, bring more character, like give the characters canon names, bring more characters to them. It was a cool idea. I just don't think it was better than how they originally did it, because they're by meeting them individually and by giving them like names and stuff, they're giving these main characters character. But the thing is, it never develops. You get it all in the beginning to where it's just like, hi, nice to meet you. You're gonna help me on my quest because of circumstances. And then we go, oh, we're all orphans? That's a coincidence. And then it's dropped until the end of the game where Sid tells you the truth. And then that's it. There's really no characterization between the characters. I don't feel like much more life was put into them making them individual characters with names. I felt like I liked how they could speak. They were like Final Fantasy 1 characters, but could speak and interact, basically. And I think that was cool, and I think it's cool that they kept it this way, and that this one's based off the Famicom, not 3D. That's just a thought of mine. I like this better. Also, just real quick, this is not one I'm going to listen to like the other ones, but I'm pretty sure like you could hear the background music as I'm rambling on. I really like this theme way better than the 3D version. Not saying the 3D version wasn't good, because the soundtrack's phenomenal. Like, it's good, but man, this feels somehow more like mysterious, but yet it's beautifully like put together, especially with like how smooth it is. And I love how the 2D dungeons, they added like these like fog effects and stuff, and like wind that's like on the outside and that goes across the screen. They did that same with like this one dungeon. We're in this earth dungeon, and they added like sand and dirt and stuff, and it looks amazing. I love that they do that to these dungeons now. Real quick, lots of cool things, lots of UI changes that were good. More of them are going to show when I do the Final Fantasy 1 Let's Play. A lot of these were just already here in Final Fantasy 3. But I will say there's some changes that I didn't like. There are some things that I do prefer to 3D, and I will definitely point those out. We'll just kind of go as we go along. I'm going to try to get another random encounter because I do want to talk about the music there. Real quick, you go to graphic display and make it like look classic. It gives you kind of like the lines, but it looks really blurry and ugly, and I hate it, and I don't think it's good, and I haven't found a person that actually thought it was good. So do what you will with that. I like how you can rebind the settings. I think that's cool. That's about it. Let's get into a battle, because I want to talk about the music there, like the actual music there. We're gonna take a listen to the battle music. I remember this was the first thing I listened to. This was the very first thing I listened to when I went to the music gallery. And I was absolutely mind blown. You might think differently, but I was absolutely ecstatic. Because the encounter music is already pretty good, and I already like it. But like, I went here to see how they would remix it, because I thought, oh, it's just going to be like an orchestrated version, or just like a better sounding version. No! I wasn't expecting to hear guitars go and like just the new instruments add so much, and then when it gets to this part, not the part that's coming up, but the part that was like literally happening as I was saying it, like the added trumpets, and it just works so well, and it sounds amazing, and I can't believe it. Like, oh my goodness, hold on. We have to get it. It just and then it just goes into the different set of instruments. And the transition is genius. It just sounds amazing, and it's a huge improvement on the encounter music. It's absolutely breathtaking. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and attack now. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of nerd out about music like that. Just, man, what I might do is because there's a certain one that I kind of want to talk while it's going, like just make little comments, but still have you listen to it. It just depends on the type of music. I'm not gonna do this through every single music, or else we're gonna be here forever. I just wanted to point that out. And the thing is, we don't get another sword here like we do in 3D Remake, we just get another shield, which is fine. Yeah, honestly, I think they added that in 3D Remake because you're only one person instead of like a team of 4. So honestly, like, losing loot like that doesn't really bother me. I think they're trying to keep it like as an improvement for the Famicom version and not really copy the 3D Remake, which I appreciate it. And it also gives me a better comparison and a better look of like the difference between the two, which we'll talk about. But like, I will say the chest is pretty much in the same area as you remember, which is pretty good. Come on. I noticed in this version, which was probably the same in the Famicom version, you get less Arctic winds. I think you got more Arctic winds because you have to fight the boss yourself rather than have a team of 4. So I think things are balanced based off of the 3D one was balanced on how they did it, and this was balanced based off of like the Famicom version, which we will talk about as we make comparisons to. Which I already explained my spiel on the extra content in the beginning, so I really don't need to go into detail about that. Something simple to get out of the way. Alright. Look, it's a spring. Yeah, why is it such an odd color? Let's take a sip. I'm not too sure about this. We're going to ignore it and then get this chest that has the Arctic wind. And now we're going to drink it. The cool thing about this, unlike Final Fantasy 3 3D Remake, I don't feel like I have to at least grind to level 3 or 4 here, which is what I usually do. I think this whole party of 4 thing in the beginning is very, very beneficial. Also, the thing about it, just comparing the beginnings, it just quickens the pace to get to like the really good shit. I do feel like leveling is easier because I do feel like I was able to gain levels a lot faster than I was in the 3D Remake. I could be wrong about that, but I do feel like gaining levels is so far a lot faster, but at least like faster in the beginning game. I really do hope they still have the EXP exploit. We're not going to talk about this music, but Wind Crystal, I like how it sounds more like mystic, more like otherworldly, which is kind of like what the crystals are, even though they are of this world and they keep the world in balance. They're still like a power source, like an entity. It's really cool how it sounds. Like this is really cool. I do think it's way better too. And that transition, I like that transition. And believe it or not, we're not actually going to talk about the boss music either. I'm going to save that for. It's going to be another track we just save for when I go specifically down like the music gallery. But as like just short explanation, I think the boss battle music is good. As far as it being better, like I thought of the encounter music, I think both of them are equally as good. Honestly, I don't like one over the other. I think both of them are honestly equally as good, and that's kind of like my short answer. I'll go into more detail about it again when I do the episode that's solely dedicated to the music. But like right now, we're just gonna kill this thing. Oh, actually, let me get one more encounter, because there's actually something I do want to talk about. Thank you, that was perfect timing. Alright, so you notice you have this thing right here. You just have like attacking items, and then back here you have defend, row, flee. I do think the third one is definitely for like job class specific things. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far because like the classes you kind of get in the beginning are just like, it's like, oh, it's mages. So like, of course you already have a magic bar. It does add magic. The warrior doesn't seem to have advanced like in the third game, but we'll kind of get to that later. One thing I do want to talk about is actually a thing I'm kind of upset about. One thing I loved about Final Fantasy 3 is that it had a thing called equipment. and you were able to basically grab equipment in your inventory and switch it mid-battle. And that's the thing I think almost every RPG should have, because it adds onto the strategy. So if you have, like, if you're facing an enemy that like has confused, and you have a accessory that nullifies confused, or like gives it like a 50% chance to not affect you or something like that, and you don't have it equipped, and you realize to do it, then you can just like be like, oh shit, and then like equip it mid-battle. Or you could like beat them and then be like, okay, I need to equip it, or something like that. Now that I know. So when I see an enemy, I can keep my normal accessory on. When I see this enemy mid-battle, I can change my equipment. And it adds to the strategy. It was such a cool thing, because I could change my equipment mid-battle. But they don't have this in here, in this version, which kind of sucks. I thought that was one of the cool things of Final Fantasy 3, but it's fine. Like, it's not a deal breaker. It's just a cool mechanic that I think the 3D version does better. I wish they had the mechanic like they did in the 3D version, but it's fine that they don't. But that is one thing I wanted to point out, that I think the 3D version did better. And obviously, I'm probably going to think some of the classes are better than the 3D version, obviously. But we'll get there when we get there. I do predict that this game is definitely going to favor the less unique classes, like the mages. The crystal shines brightly. You four have been chosen. Whoa, the crystal is talking. I give unto you the last of my light, and with it, the last hope of a fading world. As things stand, light will soon disappear, and the balance of the world will be destroyed. It set the light into your hearts, and the crystals will grant you unimaginable strength. You have been chosen to be the bearers of our final chance at hope. You cannot allow light to fade from the world. Your party is enveloped with a bright light. That's kind of cool. I really like how this game looks. I know a lot of people were complaining about the sprite work. I think the sprite work is not good in the first game, especially compared to the PSP version, but I think the sprite work is pretty good in this game. To be fair, what they had to work with in comparison is the NES Famicom rather than the already made remakes, because there wasn't a 2D remake. So they probably had more creative liberty on this, on the third game, and it just looks nice in the third game. I'm not gonna lie. The 2D art looks nice in the third game, and maybe it looks nice. I think it looks nice because there's nothing to compare it to, unlike the first and second game. And with it, the world's last light of hope. We obtained a warrior, monk, white mage, black mage, and red mage. Those jobs are not available. Step upon the magic sigil and be transported to the surface. Embrace your destiny, warriors of light. Alright, so we got job classes. I don't know if they'll give us descriptions. They won't, because there's no button that says give description. It does tell you what is equipable with these job classes. Basically, with the warrior, I can basically equip anything, just like the Ungen Knight. The warrior, from last time I checked with my last save file, it does not have the advanced ability, which I think the warrior is a downgrade in this game because of that. The warrior, honestly, I think is a class that is better in the 3D version. It has a move called Advanced, where you can do more damage at the sacrifice of your defense. This one just seems to be Final Fantasy 1 warrior, where you can equip anything and do lots of damage, but really no special abilities. Which I think which is what I'm not starting as a warrior, but like if you want to, like, I think the second crystal you get a knight, and it's basically the same thing as a warrior, but you're allowed to learn low level white magic. So I think that's when it makes abilities like that more worth it. And the reason why I don't think it's a bad thing of this not having an ability is because it's like the beginning class, and I think they built it this way on purpose because they want you to like change classes. Because I think the thing with the good and bad thing with Final Fantasy 3 3D remake is that they gave the warrior such a useful ability that you can go and still change your class, but a lot of people use warrior till the end game because of how useful the advanced ability is. So it's good that it's good enough to keep the whole game, but it's also bad because it doesn't encourage you to change classes. So I can understand this kind of level design. The monk is, of course, bare-fisted and uses nunchucks also. Uses less armor, but is still good with it. But he has like a specific thing. I think in Final Fantasy 3 3D remake it's more of claws or like bracers, but honestly I just don't equip them with it because usually it's just better to be bare-fisted anyway. Kind of like the gas cannon, it does a lot of damage like the warrior, sometimes does a lot more damage than the warrior, but doesn't have the defense, so it's more like a glass cannon. White mage, black mage, red mage, what you expect. Support spells, offensive spells, and they can do both. And can learn more armors and can equip more armor and weapons than these guys can, honestly. My friend Dar does, in fact, want to be a red mage though, so I'm going to equip him with red mage. We're not going to equip anything yet. My boyfriend Skiba wants to start out his adventure being a warrior, so we're going to do that. And then my friend Jess wants to start out their adventure being a black mage. And last but not least, me. I want to start out my adventure being a white mage, basically. I don't know, I said I am going to be a white mage. And it's kind of an homage to the first game too, to where I did pick the white mage as my permanent role. So I won't be staying this, of course, but like it is kind of an homage a little bit, and just something I just am very fond of as a class and really like. So this is what we'll be doing for this will be our starting classes. Now what I'm gonna do is when it comes to I kind of look into this a bit, kind of mess around with things, so I might just cut this all out. Don't cut this part out yet, but it does tell you the list of commands you get when going here. I don't know if the warrior, I don't know how it works in the 2D because I've played the fully Famicom version once, but I always played the 3D version, so I don't remember how the Famicom went. So I do think the warrior actually doesn't have any extra abilities. It's just the normal attack and items. It's just he can equip armor, weapon. It's basically a freelancer, like basically / Onion Knight. But I think it levels up and gets like a ×2 and a ×4 variant in its stats. So I think that's the difference between Onion Knight and the warrior, is that it gets more attack power, so it can do its job better. So there is a point in switching the warrior instead of being an Onion Knight. I think that's how it works in the Famicom version. I still think the warrior and 3D version is way better, just because of the ability advanced. It's way more interesting, but it's not a bad thing nevertheless. Yeah, that's about it. We're going to go equipped, and I'm going to focus on B first, not for any selfish reason, just because I don't have any weapons yet, so I want to make sure I at least get the best armor as I can get. We're going to remove all, because I do want Skiba to be dual wielded. I don't want you to be dual wielded, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and then I'm going to, there we go. That should be good. There, yeah, okay, good. We got this. Cool thing about it is, because it's not on the 3D landscape, we don't have to like get out and go around. We just bloop, go there. Much more convenient. And I like how it gives you an option to leave. It just doesn't leave when you step on it. It's kind of cool. Now this is one I want to listen to. When I first was listening to this song, I was just like, this is pretty good, but I like the original better. I think the original has a more better overworld flair to it, and I like the guy going crazy with his flute solo. But like, as it went on, I started to like this version way better than the 3D one. So right now, this is the part where I'm just like, it's good, but, and even this part, when it picks up a bit, I'm just like, it's good, but it's not as good as the 3D version. And I'm just like, all right, this is like I was just like, all right, I think the 3D version is better, which is fair. There are some tracks that I do think that way. But what changed my mind about it is a part that's coming up really soon. Like right after this part. Cause like this is cool. I'm like, oh, the 3D's version is better because I like the whole flute solo thing. It's really cool. And like this is nice, but it doesn't have the same kind of flair that the 3D version had. And then it goes a little bit further. And here, right when it picks up, that's when I decided that this is the better version. Just because of how amazing this is. Like, oh my goodness, once I heard like this part, I was blown away. I personally love this better. It was a close one because for the most of the song, I'm just like, I like the 3D version better, but this one's still good. And then it got to that part, and I'm just like, nope, I like this one better. I love how it builds up slowly, and then it just goes at it, and then it loops back perfectly. It loops perfectly, and it doesn't feel strange. The transition is so smooth and natural. It's insane, and I love how it continues to pick back up and then cool down and pick back up and cool down. It's perfect, and I love it. And I think the whole climax ending of the song before it loops again just makes the entire song. It's absolutely breathtaking. I still think the original is better, but man, this blew me away, and I love this rendition of it. I will say I will miss the flute solo guy because that flute solo guy made the overworld song, and I loved it for that. But man, it's so good, man, so good. Like, wow. But we're kind of, as you notice, we're kind of short in equipment, and I could go to the next town, but there's a cave behind us. And remember we fell down the sinkhole? Well, I don't think those kids finished exploring before they fell down the sinkhole, so let's kind of finish their work. We will get random encounters here, but they're not anything to really be worried about. So if any of your class is under-equipped, it's not a big deal. Just use this as a time to just grind a bit. I will say, one thing I forgot to mention, victory music's pretty great. Also this right here is so cool. I like how it shows how much EXP you got, what level, how much you need to the next level, how much EXP and gil you got, and when we level up our classes, there will be another screen under it that shows you that your class is leveled up. The UI is just so much nicer. Same with the menu. I personally love the menu UI. It's absolutely gorgeous, especially the equipment one. It's good. Some people may disagree with me. I don't really care. I even like the magic one where you can like do this and like it's set up like this. Like, oh man, I love the UI. And look at this. It says exchange. And guess what? It only shows the party members that you can actually exchange magic. I don't think... Oh, actually, no, it doesn't. It shows everyone because you can exchange it with everyone. It's just it can't fit enough, so it does that. Okay, that's cool. That's actually not bad. I was wrong about that, but that's fine. But it's still cool. It's still way better, and I like it. I just love how everything is set up and the UI of everything. And I love the sprite works with the job classes in this game. They just look good. They give me Final Fantasy V vibes, and that's probably why I'm fangirling over it. Also, quick save. Mwah. Genius. Genius. Mwah. Quick save. Oh my god, it's gonna be so good in this game. Get 1,000 gil, 1,000 gil. I think I should get a longsword. I should get a monk weapon. I should get a spell. And maybe a potion? And then something else. I don't remember. I think bracers, like some kind of armor. I think those are the 5 things I get here. Alright, yeah, whatever. A thrifty spender. Let's see. Yep, bracers. Do they not have anything equipped? Hey, a longsword. I was right again. Sleep, I was right again. Let's see if I'm 5 for 5. Another longsword. Oh yeah, see, as you saw temporarily there, because I just kind of sped past it, that it did show that my job level increased, which is cool. And nunchuck, yes. Okay, so I was 4 for 5. We're actually gonna have the red mage have like a knife. The red mage can't wield a sword. It can wield special swords, I still think. But I swear the red mage could wield a sword in 3D version. It just can't in the 2D version, which is weird, but whatever. We're gonna have the warrior dual wield, of course, because he's literally meant for attacking. He could have a shield, but I don't really have to worry about his defense because his armor is already gonna be good. I want to give bracers to the mages, and I think I'm very important because I heal. Don't try to sound rude or anything. And you can dual wield knives while you're at it, because why not? Also, I need to change formation real quick. I know I said I was going to make these episodes long, but I might make this one shorter, just so I can start my adventure right in the new town. Uh-oh. Thank you. I did say I was going to make these episodes longer. I do plan on recording, like, at least over an hour, probably an hour to 2 hours, because I want to kind of make these episodes an hour long. Because I know if I recorded 2 hours, I'm going to cut a whole bunch of shit down. It's probably going to be at least like 50 to... in between 50 to 130 is where I'm trying to aim. Make these episodes long, so we can get a lot done. Because I am going to be stopping and talking about a lot of specific stuff, like I did this episode, to where a lot of the time it's just me talking and nerding about certain stuff. But I think since I want to kind of leave it off under an hour for this first episode, because this is the pilot episode. I'm just kind of introducing kind of like the concept. I'm going to be nerding out a lot, so I'm sorry if you don't like that, if it's like a let's play that you don't get down with. But hopefully you do enjoy it. I do want to stop it right here for the first episode, because I feel like this is the first perfect place to stop, because then I can go to the next episode. This is kind of the introduction. I go to the next episode, going through these towns and moving on and progressing with the story. I'll talk with you guys to stuff. Like, I feel like it would be weird to like go to the first and second town and then stop and then just do the rest when this whole area can be done in one episode. Guaranteed. If I'm gonna I don't know if I'm gonna do that, but I could definitely do this whole area in one episode. And I think this will be a fitting place to start, is when we officially started our journey, which is right now. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the first episode, and I hope you can continue to keep watching, and you guys have a great day. Bye!